Hello everybody, it's me, the Real Local Maniac. I'm back again with another 8-Bit Wars. Now the game I'll be doing today is Shinobi. Now this is the SV, the short version of the video I'll be doing. I will be doing a slightly longer version on my site, which is www.1hourmonthlypodcastshow.co.uk. Anyway, let's get on with this game. Now this is one of my favourite arcade games ever, and I'm kind of glad I'm doing this as an 8-Bit Wars because I still play this game from time to time, and I've never actually finished it. Now the graphics don't look that amazing now, but back in the days I thought they looked fantastic, and I used to play this non-stop. The reason why I like this because it kind of reminded me of another game that I used to enjoy, which was called Rolling Thunder. It played very, very similar. Now I think what it was that appealed to me back in the day about this game was that the fact that you were a ninja, you know, and I think it came out around that time when I used to watch all my ninja films when I was growing up, sort of like American Ninja and all those other sort of films, and it just really made me feel like I was part of a movie. And the levels were interesting, the baddies were interesting, like that first baddie there, I can't pronounce his name, but you know, he was a pain in the ass to beat with sort of shooting him in the eyes. Keno, that's what his name is. Anyway, the story sees you sort of being that guy there. You've got to rescue all these little kids that have been kidnapped, have been imprisoned. Well, not imprisoned, just tied up. And there, look, there's a baddie. There's Spider-Man there. Now, he did appear, Spider-Man, in one of the other Shinobi games. I think it was Revenge of Shinobi on the Sega Mega Drive. Now, I will be doing a series of different Shinobi videos throughout the end of May and early April. What am I saying? April? May? I'm getting confused. Yeah, so what I do love about this game is the music, by the way. I completely forgot to mention that. The music is so memorable. There's certain games that, you know, you can listen to the music and you think, wow, the music really has stood well. Damn. Got a bit carried away talking that I died. I do like that poster there of Marilyn Monroe. I thought Marilyn Monroe was kind of hot. In that film, Some Like It Hot. I thought that was fantastic. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Marilyn Monroe, we're here to talk about this game. And what an amazing game it is. Yeah, so as always with the 8-Bit Wars, first of all we start with the arcade version, then follow up with the Spectrum, then the Amstrad, and then the Commodore 64, and then we'll see which version wins. Now, sometimes my opinions may vary from what you decide, which, you know, but feel free to voice it as well, you know. That's what it's all about. Next up is the Specky version of Shinobi. Now, I remember I bought this because I was a big fan of the arcade, and I ran down to New Covent Garden Market, it's where I used to get my games from sometimes, and I paid, I think, $9.99 for this bad boy, and I gotta admit, I was a little bit disappointed because the colour scheme kind of reminds me of the colour scheme that was in Double Dragon on the Specky, which wasn't a great conversion. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't awful, this, you know, isn't WTF material. It's just not great. For a start, look at the sprite. The sprite looks like he's a hunchback. It's the way he's walking around. I mean, if the screen sort of scrolls pretty well, it's decent enough, but the only thing is that you can't see where the captured kids are on the top of the screen, so sometimes you have to sort of like backtrack a little bit to try and find them, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, really. And I think the graphics are a little bit too big for their own sake. It would have benefited if they had made this sort of like graphics a little bit smaller. The music is fantastic though, that is probably the saving grace of it. I don't like that animation there. Did you see that when he sort of crouches? It just looks like he's been squashed down a little bit, it just doesn't look right. But the music is fantastic. It still sounds pretty good to this day. Now, like I did say, I will be doing another, well, I have done a slightly longer version of this video with different gameplay footage, and you'll find that at the site. Now, question of the day. My question of the day today is, what is your favourite in-game loading screen? Because I used to sort of like love waiting for the loading screens to load up. It used to sort of tell me if a game was going to be good, or, you know, how amazing it was. It really used to draw me in. So, what was your favourite loading screen in a game? Alright, so that wraps up the Spectrum version. Okie dokie, now this is the Amstrad CPC 464, and I think it was made by Binary. Weren't those the same guys that made, who was it, that made, Double Dragon? Right, Mission 1. Now, if anything, I'll be honest with you, this is nothing like Double Dragon. It's actually pretty good conversion. Now, the music is pretty good. The graphics are already a lot better than the Spectrum version. And you can see what's above you, so that does help. So you can see little characters up there. I think you've got to hold fire and then push up to actually jump up. It's the same as the Spectrum version. Oh, actually no, I think you have to assign different keys to this one. The only thing I don't like about this game, don't get me wrong, I mean the graphics, I think they look pretty nice, all the sprites are pretty well done, but it's the colour scheme. I mean, what's that? It's way too much orange, the colours are a little bit too bright. And I think that was a problem with some of the Amstrad games. I didn't like the colour scheme as much. It was just too much orange, too much red, and it just didn't feel quite right. But despite of what the colour scheme looked like, this does play pretty well to the arcade. It's a little bit easier actually to get past that first level than the Spectrum and the arcade version and the Commodore 64 too. But it does have that feel, you know, of the arcade game. So you know, I never actually had this when I first when this game came out back in the good old days. Even though I did have all the all the computers back in the days. I didn't always have the same game on all of them, so sometimes what I would do is just go to my cousin's house and play his games. But unfortunately, I don't think I actually ever played this back in the day. But from what I'm playing now, it does play a lot better than the Spectrum version. The sound is slightly better than the Spectrum version, actually. And there's Spider-Man again, just hanging around, you know, doing what he does, climbing up walls. Alright, so that is the end of the Amstrad version. Okie dokie, now it's time for the good old Commodore 64 version. Now, there's no music while you're playing. Now the graphics look, well the colour scheme look a lot more like the arcade version, which is a good thing. And I like the size of the sprites. The size of the sprites, I think, are decent size enough because you can see what's up there, what's down there, and I think that works well. The playing area is a lot smaller though than the other two versions, but you know what? That's not really a problem. It would have been a problem if the sprites had been a lot bigger, but I think the graphics are all sort of nicely drawn there. Now, it's going to be a bit difficult to decide who's going to be the winner of today's 8-Bit Wars. It's basically between the Amstrad and the Commodore 64. Which version am I going to go for? Well, this has got the sort of like nice sound effects. The graphics look more like the arcade style graphics. The colour scheme is more like it. But then again, the Amstrad did have like that music, and that music sometimes, I know music isn't everything, but sometimes it certainly makes a game more atmospheric. It really makes it a lot more interesting. Let me just play through a little bit more and then I'll find out. But it's definitely going to be between the Amstrad and the Commodore 64. Alright, quickly plug the site while I'm having a little think about it. Now guys, if you haven't checked out the 1HMPS forum, you can check that out. You can find that again on my site. There's a little tab at the bottom that takes you to the forum. We've got some amazing community members down there where we're posting stuff every day. And before I go actually guys, let me quickly tell you what I will be doing soon. I'm going to be doing a competition soon, and you can actually win some prizes, so that should be interesting. Alright. I've made up my mind now. I am going to go for the Amstrad version. Alright, the Amstrad is the winner of today's